Hey everyone! Not too long ago I made a video asking whether or not the Batman miniature game was dead. In the video I went through all the problems the game had been having and came to the conclusion that, well, yeah. All signs pointed to the game being dead with no new models, no updates, a broken app and seemingly no effort from Night Models to keep the game actively alive. I'll link that video in the description below if you specifically want to hear more about that. All in all, it felt pretty definitive, and despite Night Models always being exceptionally poor at communication, the writing seemed on the wall for the Batman miniature game. But only that game. I thought perhaps the DC license costs simply got too high in comparison to how much money they were making, or they simply felt it was time to move on to different things, like their Game of Thrones miniature game, which stole the rule set from Batman 3rd edition. I never would have guessed that the whole company itself would just up and vanish, and yet that's precisely what happened. Well, I say precisely, but I guess there is still a small amount of reasonable doubt. But let's go through why it seems like Night Models is gone, and then I'll go over my own thoughts on the subject and finally briefly touch on the rumours about what some of the employees are doing now. In my Batman video, I discussed how long it had been since Night Models had made any communication regarding that game. The same level of silence can almost be applied to their other products too, though not over quite as long a period of time. Their last communication on Facebook, which, as a reminder, is for inexplicable reasons their preferred method of communication, was on May 9th, advertising a Game of Thrones miniature game related sales code. The code, by the way, was reported to have not worked at all. Via their Night Games pseudonym that they used for GameFound projects, their two unfulfilled projects, the Harry Potter miniature adventure game repackage and Batman Escape from Arkham Asylum, were last updated on May 13th and January 21st of this year respectively. I went over those crowdfunding campaigns in my Batman video and both had managed to make Night Models good money. They had also brought in money from two successful collaborations with My Mini Factory providing STL campaigns that didn't really require much work from them. This led me to believe that they were sitting on quite a bit of capital, just over 1.6 million euros before costs to be exact. Most crowdfunded miniature games operate at least a 40% profit ratio, sometimes higher. Even with American tariffs affecting product going into that country, they should still have had a lot of money sitting, yet I did hear rumblings of them blaming the tariffs for slowing their projects down and putting them in a bad spot funding wise. Not sure I believe that though. This is where it's worth mentioning that given Night Models' affection for never communicating or communicating exceptionally poorly, everything here should be taken with a small grain of salt at the very least. Very little comes from direct sources because they never talk. I need to also make it clear I'm not accusing any current or former Night Models employees of criminal activity. I don't know the Spanish legal system. I am, however, strongly of the belief that they have been incompetent, immoral, and abandoned projects that could have been fulfilled. The closest source I have to proving that they have indeed shut down is via a third party who knows someone who is friends with the CEO of Night Models, who simply stated, Night Models is closed. This is somewhat validated by the Night Models website completely shutting down recently. It was replaced with a "something is happening," which is a default maintenance template created by WordPress, which you can validate for yourself if you just look at the page source code. It has remained this way for quite some time now, and I highly doubt anything is indeed happening. It looks a lot like they have shut up shop. It would mean those crowdfunding campaigns will never see fulfillment, any outstanding refund requests would go unread, and any chasing replacement parts for broken or lost miniatures are never going to be handled. That's about the same level of service you would have gotten from them if they were still open, but still. There are unsubstantiated rumours that another company suddenly appeared at the same location as Night Models' company offices under a different name that also happened to be making licensed miniature games via crowdfunding. This was mentioned in the comments of my Batman video by a few people. I looked into potential connections between Night Models and this other company, which is named OC Games, and besides clearly also being Spanish, I did not find direct correlations. Going by names and locations listed on the OC Games website and cross-referencing them with the locations and employees listed on Night Models' LinkedIn and records kept on Crunchbase revealed no matches. They might exist if there is a more extensive list of OC Games employees beyond what's on their website listing, but I haven't found it. Feel free to point me towards any such thing if it exists. OC Games have also categorically denied being connected to Night Models in any way when people started asking questions about it. However, they did ignore anyone specifically asking if anyone who works for them now did, at one time or another, work for Night Models. It is a bit suspicious, I'll grant you, but I'd still like more concrete proof before rallying pitchforks. I'd always recommend you be careful with your money, especially when crowdfunding campaigns are involved though. You are guaranteed nothing from them. So, if Night Models really is gone, what does that mean? They absolutely deserve to fail, for one. Incompetently run from top to bottom with a shocking disregard for both their own reputation and customers. They got what they deserved, and I hope the process was as painful for them as trying to work with them was. I stumbled upon a video blog the other day, just by happenstance, created by two Canadian retail owners talking about their experiences working with Night Models and how the shambles of a 3rd edition launched just 8 months after a new 2nd edition core box release killed the scene for them in Canada. I'll link that video in the description box below. It's an interesting insight into how badly Night Models did, well, everything. Night Models being gone actually makes me more comfortable returning to the Batman miniature game to play it a little for the channel, despite it seemingly never receiving any other new releases going forward, because I won't inadvertently be giving Night Models more business by doing so. They don't deserve any business, and I'll still never truly forgive them for shipping me an empty box once. It is a shame that a fun miniature game will slip into obscurity and be forgotten in time, but it does open up the way for someone else to pick up the DC license and do something better with it. So yeah, pour one out for Night Models. No, wait, no. Actually, just drink one. Don't waste booze on them by spilling it on the floor. I still think Mythic Games is number one for scummy miniature game companies since they were caught doing a crowdfunding Ponzi scheme, and that got them shut down. But Night Models has got to be, like, in contention for the top 5 somewhere. Their gravestone will just read incompetent on it. There's no denying they lasted a while though, I guess. 17 years in the industry isn't a short amount of time. You'd think they would have gotten better at it in that time, but no. Good riddance to you, Night Models. Please don't come back. Thanks for watching this final send-off to a failure of a miniature game company, everyone. Expect Batman to return in about a month or so, and ta-ta for now.